Bruchim Haboim. Thank you for joining us for our daily Halacha session, provided by Shulchanaruchharav.com, which will, Emirat Hashem, provide the public with a single piece of daily Halacha sent by email to the mailing list, and will be accompanied by an audio or video detailed background and explanation of that halacha. We will enter in the coming days into the details of the laws of the 3 weeks and especially of the 9 days up until after Tisha B'Av. We will begin with the laws pertinent to the 9 days with regards to eating meat and drinking wine. So as we know, it is customary to avoid eating meat, poultry, or wine during the 9 days from Rosh Chodesh Av. The source of this custom. From the letter of the law, there is no prohibition for someone to eat meat or drink wine during the 9 days. As even a mourner who is mourning the loss of a loved one during the days of Shiva is not required to avoid meat and avoid wine. It is only during the time that a person is designated and defined as an Einin that meat and wine are forbidden. Other than that time period, even during mourning, it is permitted. And hence we see explicitly in the Gemara, and it's brought in Shulchan Aruch in the later chapters regarding the laws of Erev Tisha B'Av in Tav Kuf Nun Beis, that it is permitted from the letter of the law to eat meat even on Erev Tisha B'Av itself, and only by the Sudas HaMafsekes, the final meal before the fast, is there a Talmudic prohibition in eating meat and wine. Nonetheless, this custom came about, and in fact the Mechaber in the Shulchan Aruch brings 3 different customs in terms of the time period that people avoid meat and wine. The first being from Rosh Chodesh, from the beginning of the 3 weeks, from Shiv Asa B'Tammuz. Another custom being from Rosh Chodesh until Tisha B'Av, which is our custom, and another being only the week of Tisha B'Av. So he brings 3 customs, and these customs are brought down in the Torah, and the Beis Yosef brings the Rashba that writes on it, that it is forbidden, heaven forfend, for anyone to swerve from this custom, and each community must follow the custom that they accepted. Thus today the widespread custom is to avoid meat and wine beginning from the 9 days. What does the prohibition include? All meats, all poultries, chicken, duck, any type of poultry, does not include fish. It is permitted to eat fish. And this is one of the differences between the Talmudic prohibition by the Sudas HaMafsekes and the custom to avoid eating meat and wine. That by Talmudic prohibition it is forbidden by the Sudas HaMafsekes to eat even fish. However, today, during the 9 days, we never accepted the custom to avoid fish. Regarding wine, what is included in the prohibition of wine? Only wine or grape juice. It is permitted to drink alcoholic beverages. It is permitted to drink beer and other beverages of the like. What's the reason that we took that Bnei Yisrael accepted this custom upon themselves to avoid eating meat and drinking wine? So this comes together with an earlier ruling that when Av enters, we diminish joy. And since joy is found with meat and wine, that is why we took upon ourselves to diminish and to avoid eating meat and drinking wine during these days. Regarding if meat and wine have fallen into a food, so initially one may not add meat and wine to a food even if the ratio is very small. However, in the event that it occurred, such as one was cooking meat for someone sick or for a child, and it accidentally fell into the pot of soup that she was making for the family, then so long as there is 60 times versus the meat or wine, or the person or someone else tastes the soup and sees that there is no taste of wine or meat in the soup, then it is permitted. With regards to woman eating meat, chicken, for for health purposes. So a nursing woman, if she needs it for her milk, or if she needs it because she's not feeling well, then if there aren't any supplements available on the market, she is to ask a Rav, and in general the Rav will tell her that in such a situation she is permitted to eat chicken or eat meat as what is necessary. The same applies for a pregnant woman that feels weak and feels the need of meat or chicken. A woman after birth may be lenient to eat meat and chicken up until 30 days after birth, up until the 7th of Av. Starting from Zayin Av, the custom of women is to be machmer. Regarding children, children are accustomed. It is a custom that children that are below the age of chinuch, it is permitted for them to eat meat or chicken during the 9 days. Children that are above the age of chinuch avoid doing so. Regarding what is the age of chinuch, so it is proper in this regard to be stringent from around age 6, which is the time that a child in general understands matters that have to do with positive commands. There are opinions, however, that say one may be lenient until age 9. Regarding Erev Shabbos, one may be lenient to feed the children meat of the Shabbos meal if the Shabbos meal, a Friday night, will be very late, and the children cannot wait up that late, so one may be lenient even if the children are above the age of chinuch to feed them before Shabbos. Regarding tasting meat dishes on Erev Shabbos, although it is usually a mitzvah to taste the foods, on this Erev Shabbos special caution has to be taken in order not to transgress the custom of avoidance of eating meat. And therefore, the halacha is as follows. It is permitted to taste the dish that contains meat in order to know whether it needs more spices or salt. But to taste it in order to fulfill the mitzvah of tasting food Erev Shabbos is forbidden. So therefore, it's not necessary to chew and swallow it, but just to simply lick it or put a little bit in one's mouth and spit it out to know whether it requires spices or not. Regarding many families that begin Shabbos early, there is no problem if they begin Shabbos early to have the Shabbos meal, which includes meat dishes, even though it is prior to sunset, as nonetheless they have already began Shabbos, and it is considered for them a Seudas mitzvah in which eating meat is allowed. Regarding wine, we will discuss 2 points. Number one, although normally during the regular year there is a mitzvah to do a kaishal bracha by benching if there is 3 or 10 people present by the meal, when it comes to the 9 days, we do not do kaishal bracha on wine. This applies even for Sfaradim. Regarding Havdalah, it's as follows. By Havdalah, there are more rules that it is permitted to make Havdalah on wine. However, the Ramah adds that if there is a child available, then one should give the child to drink the wine rather than have the adult who made Havdalah drink the wine. Now this is speaking of a very specific aged child. It's speaking of a child that is old enough to reach the age of chinuch for blessings, which is approximately 6 years old, but is not yet old enough to understand the idea and concept of mourning. So, based on what it says in Paiskim, it's approximately between the age 6 and 9 years old. If such a child is not available, then the person making Havdalah can drink the entire glass of wine himself, even if it contains a lot more than a revius. Regarding grape juice, as already mentioned, it is forbidden to drink grape juice during the 9 days. Children below the age of chinuch may be given grape juice. And grape-flavored drinks, soft drinks that do not contain actual grape juice inside, is not a problem at all. Hope you've enjoyed. We will be back tomorrow with another segment.